interested in some projects over the holiday season, please welcome, first time on Cityline, it's Chris Palmer, handyman, and Leanna Leopold, design and DIY diva. I threw that in myself.
Like that.
Do you like that?
I'm changing my business card today.
Design and DIY diva. Own it. All right, Chris, we're so excited to have you because we know.
Can I give a hug?
Oh, yes.
I'm scared of
Always
You
greet
can
with a hug.
come back. You can come back. Listen, we're excited to have you because you actually rose to fame through Canada's Handyman Challenge. So this competition, they're trying to find the handyman in Canada. They loved you, and they loved you because of this. So there is a name for this chair. What's it called?
I called it the rib chair or the crab chair.
Okay.
It's got a unique look to it. Basically, the guys were ribbing me saying it was from the Beetlejuice show, like McGilvery was all over me on it. But nonetheless, it got me in.
Yeah, no, because it's actually functional. I sat in it. It feels really good. It's beautiful. It's different. So Scott McGilvery, Brian Baumler, they were all over you about this.
Yes.
And we couldn't wait to have you here on Cityline to talk about your project. So, and you know Leanne as well from, other projects from before.
We've met because we actually have a shared love of DIYing and repurposing things. So we met both working on a project, repurposing old doors, and we just realized that it's like kind of a brother-sister thing here. We're kind of kindred spirits that way, where we, sharing ideas, and we collaborated for a little project that we're going to share later. But what I found out from Chris is he has an awesome collection of all of these vintage windows, and I was drooling.
This stuff is hot right now.
It's so hot.
Everyone is into upcycling, and you have to go and you're looking for buried treasures, really, and you're looking for stuff that you might be able to take and turn into a project that you would use and be new again. And you know what? It's so eco-friendly. It's amazing that we're able to reuse these things. So we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of things. What you're looking for when you're looking for salvaged wood.
Exactly.
And also, when it comes to the DIY part, we're going to talk a little bit about sanding it down. So the different kinds of sandpaper out there and what you can be using.
You got it.
So let's start with this.
Well, this one,
This one here, we're actually looking at it based on the fact that it's a negative. We don't want to pick one like this.
Oh, we don't like it.
No.
I found it on the side.
This is terrible. It's rotten.
Bad.
Look at it.
The whole problem is it's got so much character, but you don't really realize because it was in a pile of windows. I was like, oh, I saw the edge.
he found these on the side of the road, by the way, which I thought was kind of awesome.
Oh, wow. Where are my gloves? Where'd you find it?
Oh, this is part raccoon.
Oh, wow.
So basically what happened here, you couldn't see the one end, and then without proper examination, you can see that this was actually going to be a no-use window.
Okay, so this is the problem here.
A lot
and
of
you have
it's
to be
rotted
aware.
right through.
It's got too much dry rot and probably a little bit of termite marking on it. But
it would make a great
hey.
It would make a great character piece on its own, but in terms of DIYing, other things that we look for is the dry rot in the wood grain, where when it gaps too large, no matter how much you sand, you will never feather that out.
Got it.
So this is one of the pieces you probably wouldn't want to use. Now, in that pile that Chris found, there was a great frame that would definitely be a positive to the negative. This one was in great shape. There's no wood rot, there's no moisture issues happening, no warping. Peekaboo!
Okay, so this is what you're looking for. These are all attached properly.
Nice seams.
Right, it's sturdy.
Good joints and everything. All the construction of the window is actually original and it's intact, and there's no added hardware. Nobody's gone through and actually had to put another screw in, which you might worry about them boring in too far and actually just ruining the character of the window itself.
Right. Okay, so this is a plus. Now let's talk about once you get this sort of thing, what you have to do to it. You talk a lot about the sanding. That's going to be a big part of your DIY.
Sanding is huge. When we're looking at small details like this, we got to get into little areas with special sanders, and that's when we start looking at what different tools we actually have to use.
Okay, let's run through these tools.
Well, it's actually, the first thing before you attack the tool is figuring out the sandpaper grit. So we brought a variety, and Tracy, you can even see, down from the bottom right to the top.
This is major
really coarse to really fine. Now, the little thing to remember with this is that the lower the number of your sandpaper, the heavier the grit. It's going to be much rougher. So if you're at the store looking at the numbers and you're overwhelmed and you want to do a fine sanding job, pick a higher number.
Yes.
Got it.
When you're looking at like something with a heavy coat of paint on it, you're going to go to that 60 grit that we have there with the big teeth that has more grit per inch on it, and it's going to remove that paint faster. And when you get into a tight area like in the crevices here, you might want to reach for a little wire brush and give it a little scrub, and you can see that just flakes off in those details, versus when you use a sander, you might actually cause that to just be destroyed and ruin the whole entire integrity of the beautiful curves that you have inside the window.
Okay, so you have to measure when you have to be a little bit more delicate with the sanding.
Yes.
And all of this stuff has to come off because eventually you're going to be painting it, or just because?
Painting, staining, especially if you're going to stain and you really want to see the integrity of the wood grain, you want to make sure that any lacquer or previous paint totally comes off. The easiest way to do that is to actually bring in something that will do the work for you. I love the detailed sander.
Beautiful detailed sander.
That's amazing.
It's so small.
Sure,
it's basically a miniature belt sander. This one from Black & Decker lets you get in all of the little crevices, such as like in a window frame where it's really difficult to get in those grooves. Will totally help you. Are you going to give this a go?
Give this a go?
Let her
No,
rip.
I don't want to give. Okay, I will. I will.
So if you take a look at like a nice little area to hit here with a little piece of paint.
Move that finger, Chris.
You're going to get a manicure really quickly.
There you go.
So you just go
exactly.
Look at that. That's perfect. You know what?
Perfect.
It's so specific. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Detail sander.
That's the beauty
Okay,
about that
so
little
later
tip.
on in the show, you're actually going to give us a whole project that you've done. Now, he's super handy, so you've made a beautiful cabinet, and we're going to talk about ways that you've made it. You sort of put your Chris Palmer mark on it,
Yes.
right? Okay, that'll be happening later in the show. For now, check out my fancy shades. We're going to break. More